Ciao! Welcome to Mama Cooks Love. Today I'm going to teach you how to make an authentic, healthy, fast, and easy marinara sauce. As you all know, I'm a classically trained chef. After I was done with cooking school, I lived and trained in Italy as a chef. I lived in Sorrento, and I also have had a catering company. My recipes are tested. I've been told by my chef in Italy that I make a really good Italian sauce. It is the epitome of those really delicious red sauces and big Vesuvius tomatoes and super fragrant basil. All you need to do is follow these simple steps with very few ingredients, and you will have a really delicious, authentically made Italian marinara. I can't wait to share my secrets with you. Let's get cooking. To make our marinara sauce, we need 3 cloves of garlic, half a white or yellow onion, and I'm making a big batch, 3 cans of San Marzano tomatoes. We also gonna need a lot of olive oil. I'm talking between 1/4 to 1/3 of a cup. Basil, probably 10 leaves of basil, and salt and pepper to taste. Now, you only want to use San Marzano tomatoes. The reason for that is they have less acidity and more flavor. You'll never have to add a pinch of sugar to balance your sauce. Your San Marzano tomatoes are perfect. I strictly use San Marzano tomatoes because they do taste like when I live in Italy. All right, let's get cooking. I like to start with the garlic. Believe it or not, it does make a difference in what order you start cooking your ingredients with. If you start your garlic before your onions in the olive oil, it tastes like that yummy, toasty, garlicky sauce. If you start your sauce with the onion, it would have a sweeter, oniony taste without that super garlicky taste. It's really up to you. We'll start with the garlic, and as the onion is cooking, we will work on our tomatoes. Now, you don't have to chop everything super small because we will be grinding our sauce. I do have whole tomatoes in the can. I don't like buying crushed tomatoes, although if you're in a hurry, it's totally okay. They just don't have the same flavor as you do when you use whole tomatoes. Wait, now we're just gonna open up our cans, saute the garlic. Once the garlic is golden brown and delicious, we'll add the onions. And once the onions are done, we'll add the tomatoes. Okay, let's make some marinara sauce. First, we're gonna start with about 1/4 cup of organic extra virgin olive oil. And then I'm gonna do my garlic. And once the garlic is fragrant and golden and delicious, we will add our onions. I wish you could smell that. It smells like I'm back in Italy. It smells amazing. Garlic is ready. Don't want to make it too dark. See this color? Lightly golden, very fragrant. And now, time for the onions. As soon as I do onions, I like to do salt. So I put about 1/4 teaspoon of salt here. And now I'm gonna lower the heat. You do wanna cook those on medium-low heat. Don't wanna burn the onions. I'm gonna clean up a little bit while these onions saute, and I'll see you in a second. So every couple of minutes, you wanna check on your onions, give it a little stir. See how the garlic is nice, golden, a little bit before brown, just like a blondie. You always want to hold off on adding the basil in the beginning. Basil always goes towards the very end, right before you turn off the heat, so it doesn't get dark and brown, and you still want it to have all of its really yummy fragrance going into your sauce. Alrighty, my onions are becoming translucent and the garlic at this point is golden brown and delicious, so that's the yummiest taste in your sauce. Now we're gonna add our tomatoes. Please remember to lower the heat as soon as you add your tomatoes because the tomatoes are a little bit more dense and they tend to splatter. You get to turn it back on. Get them nice and warm. Look at those tomatoes. They're gorgeous. So what I would like to do right now is use my immersion blender and blend everything together, grind everything together to get the tomatoes to be pureed into the sauce. If you prefer, you could take your tomatoes from can into your blender and blend them and then add the pureed sauce. I like to do everything together in the pot because honestly, it's so much less cleanup. It's faster, and that's how we did it at the restaurant in Italy, in Sorrento. Also, little trick I learned, because we don't take anything for granted and we don't waste anything. I put a little bit of water in each can, and this is what I do. I go from one can to another and get everything that is left. All right, then we're gonna grind the sauce. Let's stir and check. It's completely ground, pureed, whatever you want to call it. It's nice and smooth. Now, I usually don't like to completely season my sauce as it's going to reduce, but you do want to season as you go because you don't want it to have that flavor of recently salted all at once. You want to do the layers. So I'm going to add a little bit of salt, and if I feel like it needs more afterwards, we'll adjust the seasoning. So far, I want to say the 3 cans of tomatoes have about 3/4 of a teaspoon to a teaspoon of salt. Now I do want to try it because I love the taste of San Marzano tomatoes. I know it's not cooked yet. It should be ready in about 30 to 35 minutes. So delicious. The reason why I like to cook it in a deep pot is because I really, really hate tomato splatters. And tomatoes are thick. They have lots of sugar in them, and they do splatter when they bubble. After having to clean up a big mess and ruining a couple of my nice shirts, I decided we're strictly gonna cook it in a deep pot. At this point, I'm gonna cover it and set up my alarm for 30 minutes, and the sauce should be ready in about 30. This is a really good trick. Put your spoon like that, and that way you still get some of the water to evaporate and your sauce gets thickened, but you don't have a lot of splatter. All right, it's been 35 minutes. Sauce should be ready. It smells amazing. I already turned it off before I add the basil, and I'm gonna taste it to see if it needs any more seasoning. Okay. I think it's perfect. It does not need anything except for eating. And now I'm gonna show you how I finish off my sauce, which is the way I learned to do that in Sorrento. So the basil leaves at the very last minute. And this is what we do. We just stir them with our fingers so we don't bruise the leaves like they say, and we don't get them black on the edges. That way it stays nice and bright. So delicious. I wish you could smell that. So fresh and fragrant and tomatoey and basil-y and smells like the Amalfi Coast. And I also like to finish it up with a little bit of raw olive oil, or like they say in Italy, al crudo. So that was about a wooden spoonful of oil. Smells amazing. All right, the moment of truth. I'm gonna grab a clean spoon and try it for you so you see what it looks like. Look at the color. It's so beautiful and bright. It's so fresh. See? So good. I'm gonna try. It's a little bit hot. I'll try my best not to get burned. It's so yummy. Honestly, I can just eat it in a spoon like that. So our marinara sauce is ready. After 35 minutes, I let it cool off for a little bit and then I put it in jars. It gave me 2.5 jars of this size. I'm telling you that other half a jar is not gonna make it into the fridge tonight because my daughter really wants spaghetti with red sauce. So let me know how it turns out with you. Hit like, subscribe. If you have any questions, let me know and I'll be more than happy to answer you. Love, light, and blessings, everybody.